Hello, I'm the BTT, and after watching this guide, you will have a better perspective necessary for your climb out of silver. Now, how many times have you heard this old jaded advice? Just play Annie. I get it. Play simple champions so you don't focus on the small stuff. Therefore, you can devote more time to the bigger picture, the macro game. Now, a lot of high elo players will say what separates each division above platinum is game knowledge. Simply put, mechanics can only get you so far. Whoever understands how this game works ends up climbing. Look, if you are still hard stuck in silver, then chances are you aren't lacking in mechanics so much as you are lacking in decision making. Your macro game sucks. So this brings us to tip number 1 that I have for you, and that's to play the support role. If game knowledge is truly the most defining factor on winning games in climbing, what better way to learn than by playing support? But not just any support champion. You need to play the carry support. That's right, I'm talking supports that can carry a game through sheer damage output or playmaking engages. Because low elo is all about making picks through hard engage, or winning that 12-minute ARAM by raw damage output. There is no place here for the Ardent Sensor shield supports, guys. Your low elo teammates won't capitalize on your provided utility to win team fights consistently. So the next tips will be organized based on game dynamics. Let's start with the early laning phase. Use your trinket before the jungle leash. Expect some sort of cheese invade, especially when you're playing against these champions: Blitzcrank, Morgana, or Thresh. Now, although it doesn't happen often in silver, when invades do occur, they are a disorganized mess at best and can lead to a bunch of blown summoners and a first blood. Now, this will 100% tilt your team, and we all know what tilted silver players are capable of. So use that trinket ward on one of the two entrances to your jungle while you guard the other. Now, don't worry, that trinket will be up in no time and before the enemy jungler hits level 3 for his first gank. Establish lane control and understand your ADC's playstyle. Lane control and wave mechanics can go so deep, but it is too much for this guide to cover. For those of you still watching, all you need to know is to control your wave from crashing into your tower and recognize your ADC's playstyle. Your ADC either wants to play aggressive or he wants to play passive. So don't go for trades and all-ins if your Ezreal started call, but do go for trades if your ADC is actively trading in between his CSing. Make sure to match your lane opponent's push so that you don't have a massive wave of minions crash into your tower. This can lead to lots of missed CS and, more dangerously, to enemy dives. Tip number 4. Recognize an incoming dive or capitalize on a dive opportunity. A dive is when the enemy utilizes the opportunity afforded when your tower is aggroed onto a minion wave to initiate a fight underneath your tower. So many silver players die to this skirmishing style, especially in bot lane. Now, this is typically referred to as a fiesta in the bot lane, so recognize the following signs of an incoming fiesta. If you see a combination of any of the following, you need to retreat from your outer turret to your inner or risk becoming the bot lane pinata. The minion wave is huge and is about to crash into your tower. Their enemy jungler and mid are Mia and have disappeared off the minimap. And the enemy top laner has TP up. Vice versa, if you have a giant wave of minions about to crash into the enemy turret, put on your scuba gear, ping your jungler, and go for a dive on the enemy bot laners. But be careful of enemy TPs and jungler location before initiating this dive. And tip number 5, be mindful of the enemy jungler's first gank around game time, 3 minutes. Most junglers will do their leash buff into a camp into their second buff, and then go straight for a gank. Depending on where this jungler got his leash, he most likely will gank the lane closest to where he finished his second buff. Use this to your advantage. This usually occurs around game time, 3 minutes. So remember that trinket ward you used at the very start? Well, it should be refreshed by now, so go ahead, put that ward in the river brush, and keep an eye on the minimap. And tip number 6, know when to play safe and when to go hard. Now, this is all about having vision on the enemy team, their jungler, and knowledge of global effects available to that team. What I mean by global effects, I mean teleports, I mean global ultimates. So based off of enemy champions' last known locations, any global effects, you can then decide to either play aggressive or play passive. Playing aggressive means more than just hard trading and skirmishing, however. What I also mean by playing aggressive is by positioning your champion. The further up in lane you're playing, then the more aggressive your position. So only position your champion aggressively if you know the whereabouts of the enemy jungler and any Mias. So many players shove their wave hard and are aggressively positioned on the outskirts of the enemy tower, only to be ganked by a roaming mid or jungle. So guys, always be tracking enemy location and abilities before you make that aggressive play or push far up in the lane away from the safety of your own tower. Start warding smarter, so you survive the lane phase and you're now grouping for outer turrets and dragons. Welcome to the mid game. Mid game is all about transitioning the lead you got from lane phase and applying it to other objectives on the map. In order to contest objectives, a team must first have vision control. Playing the carry support, vision is crucial to extend your lead when ahead and stem the bleeding when behind. Keep track of the objective timers and ward up the routes enemies must travel to in order to contest the objective. Now, most players here make the mistake of simply warding the objective itself, and not the avenues that the enemy team must take to reach that objective. Number 8, control your side lanes. As a carry support, do not be afraid to take mid-game wave control into your own hands. If no one else is shoveling out a side lane, do it yourself. Pushing out your side lanes is critical to ensuring that the ARAM that's bound to happen will lead to objectives. If you can't control your side lanes, any fight won will transition to your team, wasting the enemy death timers, clearing waves instead of getting more turrets, dragons, or potentially starting Baron Nashor. Tip number 9, playing around Baron. If you haven't won the game through mid-game by now, then Baron buff might be the only factor that decides your game. Late game usually involves one side securing Baron through positioning errors alone. It's as easy as not being in the bottom side of the map as an ADC or jungler. Only a player with teleport should manage the bottom side wave when Baron is in play. This is usually your top laner. With TP up, they can join a Baron fight from the bot lane within time. If you spot the enemy jungler or ADC anywhere in the bottom portion of the map, then rush Baron immediately. 9 out of 10 times, this will result in a free Baron buff. Tip number 10, close the game. So many times I've noticed teams not ending the game when it could be ended, and thus delaying their win. If it's late game and death timers are plus 30 seconds, any numbers advantage plus a wave of supers usually means a win for you. So spam ping your teammates, rush down that lane with the supers, with the numbers advantage, and secure the victory. Alright guys and girls, and that's it for this general guide on how to escape the silver elo and get yourself into gold. Now I hope you found the information that I provided you to be useful and novel and unique to the plethora of other guides found on YouTube. I'd like to close out by thanking each and every one of you for sticking it out to this point in the video. I mean, if you made it this far, then something must have been interesting. So what I would like you to do is to hit that like button for me, helps me out, and also hit that subscribe button for more content in the future. It's free for you and helps me out greatly. Again, guys, thank you so much, and I'll see you on the next guide, all right? Peace.